Run to Old Navy right now to get up to 50% off the entire store. Plus, this Saturday only, don't miss this once-a-year event. Old Navy flip-flops are just $1. And for the first time ever, the first 50 people in line at each store will get a free pair. Hurry in Saturday for Old Navy's great flip-flop giveaway. Excludes clearance and gift cards. Valid 6/11 to 6/23. Flip-flop offer valid 6/20. In stores only. Limit 10 per customer. Legal residents of the 50 United States, D.C. and Puerto Rico, 16 and older. For details, visit a participating Old Navy store.
Good evening. Live from New York, the CC Radio Network is proud to bring you tonight's show, The Rebellious Rev and the Doc, where we talk about religion like you've never heard before. There's no evangelists here, just talk about religion with a twist. So let's get started and have some fun. Welcome our hosts for tonight, The Rebellious Rev and the Doc.
There is no heaven, there is no hell, there is only this world and its dark reflection, and we do not know in which of the two worlds we are.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, live.
Really?
From the heart of Oceanside, New York.
Are you sure about that now?
This is the Rebellious Rev and the Doc.
And this is the Doc.
And yes, we are on. No, we're not. Of course we're on.
Well, it took us over an hour.
But it's 9:33, right?
9:43.
So 9:43. So we started 15 minutes late. Originally scheduled for 9:30. Rescheduled for 9. It's scheduled back to 9:30. And
for those of you who actually stayed with us, thank you very much. We hope we don't disappoint you.
Yeah, and if for those who didn't,
you don't know what you're missing.
We don't care about you then.
That's true. Tonight's show, ladies and gentlemen, proof of God's existence. What are some of the things that will prove God's existence? Now, I know that many people will say the fact that we are here is proof of God's existence. When I mentioned that to the Rebellious Rev, he said, no, that had everything to do with my parents and nothing to do with God. But when you look around and we see the wonders of nature, when we see the advances of science, how can we not believe that there is a God? Now, I know a very dear friend of mine down in Florida, he and I have this discussion all the time. He doesn't believe that there's a God. And I'm sure there are many people who look at the things going on in the world, and you don't have to go far. Just look at what happened a few days ago in South Carolina in that church. Random mass killing for no reason at all. We look at the reports of ISIS spreading through the Middle East. The fact that more and more people want to fight for their cause. Okay? People will say, well, this is another example. How can you believe in a God where he allows these things to go on? What do you think, Felix?
Well,
Rev.
Okay. First thing is, I want to tell you something. Which
Our
is very,
phone number.
Very important. Our phone number is 646-595-3275. And if there is a God, call us right now.
And let us know. We want proof. We want definitive proof.
Call me up and say, I'm God.
You realize, it was so muggy out before. Might actually start to lightning and thunder. Does that count?
Yeah, but just remember about one thing about me.
You see, we're on a mission from God.
Dan Aykroyd. Sounding very good, yes.
Yes.
The Blues Brothers.
Exactly. We're on a mission from God. How could, with all the catastrophes and everything that's going on, and scientists proving how the Earth came to exist with the Big Bang theory and all that. I mean, let's face it. mean, you can go on the argument that, when people are afraid of something, they don't understand it, they blame it on God. And that's the only reason there's a God.
Well, I know when, God forbid, when you're faced with medical emergencies, you're well aware of that. Physicians will tell you, well, you can pray. Or do you want to know where the chapel is in the hospital? Seek some solace.
It's in God's hands.
It's in God's hands, exactly.
Which what it actually means is the doctor doesn't know. Whatever happens. I mean, we can go back and forth, and because in reality, from what I see, I see no physical proof of God. And if you don't see physical proof of God, and that's what most atheists.
Well, the funny thing is, Rev, I remember saying to Chad when he asked me about taking things on faith, believing Jesus is the Son of God, time he's on here, okay, and that he is God in human form. I told him I was a doubting Thomas, and that I would have to see from my own eyes. And it goes for just about everything except one thing. I've lived my whole life believing that there was a God. It's funny how that I'll take on faith, that there is a God, that there...
Well, you were brought up and taught that.
That's it. I was brought up believing that. I firmly believe that there's a life after death, that death can't possibly be the end.
Well, listen,
maybe I do that just to rationalize and make death more palatable.
Well, just remember, until I told you, you didn't think the Jews believed in heaven.
Well, I was told that they didn't,
But now, well, even the rabbi goes, you're going to go to a better place. So where's the better place? Well, now you're moving up to Fifth Avenue. Come on.
The Jeffersons were moving on up.
Yeah,
to the east side, to that deluxe apartment in the sky. Yes, sirree. I really don't know what to say.
Listen, if you have no faith, then there's no proof that there's a God, as far as I'm concerned. All kidding aside.
Are you saying that even as the rebellious Rev, and I'm serious, that you don't have any faith?
No, I'm saying
because
I'm giving you an argument. Unless you have faith. I'm not saying that I don't have faith, but unless you have faith, then there's no God. Because there is no real proof of God.
And that's why I say there's the dichotomy for me. When I spoke to Chad and I said, I just can't take the things he says on faith. I have to be able to see. I don't feel it in my inner being. I really don't. But I do feel that there is a supreme being, prime mover, who directs things to happen. And that I do take on faith because I've grown up believing in that my whole life.
Well, I'll give you an example.
Who are you winking at over there?
What?
I don't know.
You see the beautiful blonde walk by? From our studios, we see the street.
No, you see.
And all the people
you
walking.
You do because you have that seat. My back is to the window.
Oh, okay.
I'm like Sergeant Schultz on Hogan's Heroes. I see nothing.
I'm hoping we'll get a phone call. Then we'll at least know if we're actually broadcasting or not.
Well, it would be nice if somebody called up to say, hey, guys, I could actually hear you.
Yeah.
But I know that my daughter, unfortunately, doesn't listen anymore. My sister is a lost
She doesn't
cause.
listen anymore?
Only if I tell you, I
you
really
got to
don't.
guilt her. I mean, listen.
I don't push it. I send out the podcast to them,
But I told you what you have to do. You have to go on. Listen, every 2-3 days, I get on my timeline. I get on my timeline that I got 20 people who listen to the show. 30 people listen to the show on Facebook alone.
You mean they click that they like what you put down?
No, they listen to it.
I wish that it could be that way. I don't know.
It is that way. If the people see, if you put it on Facebook, somebody's going to press that button and listen. It's as simple as that.
How do you know it's not God pressing that button?
That's okay too. I'll take him as a listener. An international one.
Better be careful what you say. You know, like the old commercial. It's not nice to fool Mother Nature. Well, not nice to fool God. You know.
Yeah. I'll take him as an international. I'll take him as one of our out of the country.
That's right. You know, his listing. He's unlisted when we read the.
No, we have
countries
listeners
that
from
we
New
have
York.
listeners.
We have listeners from Nigeria. Yeah, Switzerland. Heaven. You know.
Heaven.
I'm in heaven. I mean, think about it seriously, though.
And my heart,
in my heart, I do not believe in Adam and Eve. Okay, that is an honest truth. I don't believe
Adam and Eve could have been Neanderthal man for all you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe Adam and Eve is the way it is in was it Genesis, I guess? That I don't believe. To me, it's a beautiful story to explain how we came here, but I can't honestly, as a rational man, I can believe that God put us on earth, but I just don't see it happening that way. With talking serpents and apples with knowledge, to have apple trees with knowledge. I'm sorry, that's beyond my rational thinking.
Well, Dr. Doolittle could talk to the animals. I mean, why can't God? Why can't God create animals who, spoke? I don't know.
I'm a Doubting Thomas. I've never seen it.
Where have I heard that before? Very true.
Yeah, I just don't,
Well, look, I didn't say that I'm a believer in, the Garden of Eden and everything. I mean, I am a definite believer in evolution, that we have evolved to where we are now.
Yeah, again, what's wrong with thinking that God created a base for us to grow in? I mean, that I can rationally believe more that we started from a microbe, whatever it is, and God placed us here and we evolved.
Well, I mean,
but Adam and Eve is too much for me to accept.
Well, I mean, isn't it that science believes that man originated in the ocean and then came onto land? I can't read it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the phone number again, if anybody wants to call, is 646-595-3275. 3275. And this way, if somebody calls in, we'll at least know if the show is broadcasting or not, which is always good to know.
Well, but we have to understand if they can hear us.
Well, if they call in, then they'll hear us. Hopefully, they'll hear us anyway. Anyways.
But I mean, if you look around, like I said at the start of the show, all the wonders of nature and everything, I mean, how can you doubt that there is a God? But then again, like I said, on the other side of the coin, you have all these tragic things that go on every day throughout the world, and you say, why would God allow those things to happen? And we do have a caller.
We have a caller who just hung up.
Maybe that was the caller telling us that he or she could hear us. I don't know.
Or maybe that was the caller couldn't hear anything and hung up.
Well, that's a possibility, too.
Okay. Anyway, where were we?
I don't know. I think you and I have just about. It's funny. In 10 minutes, we've said everything that there is to say
about God. No, I don't think so.
Well, about God's existence Well, proof of God's existence, really.
Okay, we have a caller. Let's see who it is.